Hello, in this video I'm going to explain how we can maintain the record owners between Hubspot and Salesforce. Many of these Hubspot users may have been in a position that they find that the record owners have been changed after they sync Hubspot to Salesforce, and the reason for that is that it might be different reasons, but one of the reasons that this problem happens is when we don't have the same users on Salesforce. So in that situation, even if we sync HubSpot to Salesforce, and if we have those users missing in Salesforce, then they would be just created in another name in Salesforce. But even though if we do have the users on both platforms, HubSpot and Salesforce, still in some cases we would run to problem, and this is one of those cases that I want to explain in this video. So let me first explain the data model in Salesforce in HubSpot, and then see what would be the problem that we would have in Salesforce. So as you might know, we can sync HubSpot to Salesforce in two ways: whether we can create leads in Salesforce, or we can just sync it with contacts and accounts in Salesforce. So if we sync it with the leads, if we sync the contacts in HubSpot with the leads in Salesforce, then the challenge would be that we may lose the record owner, because the reason for that is that, let's say for example, if we have different record owners for the contact in HubSpot, let's say for example we have record owner A, B, C, and D in HubSpot for the contact, and then they're related to the company with a record owner of Z. So what happens here, since the relationship between the contact and the company in HubSpot is they're two separate objects, and then there's a parent-child relationship obviously, but since we may have a different record owner on the company compared to what we have on the contacts, and let's say in this case we may have a company ABC with a record owner of user Z, and then on the contact we may have, let's say, 100 contacts or 5 contacts or 10 contacts, and then we may have different people as a record owner for those contacts. So in this scenario, what happens when we sync HubSpot to Salesforce because as a lead? And in that case, the problem is that in the lead object we have information for contact and company on one record. So we are combining this information in one record in Salesforce. So what would happen to the record owners? This is the question. Which one would prevail in Salesforce, while we have the contact and company in one row as a record? Who would be the record owner in Salesforce? So the answer is that in that case the Z would be the record owner in Salesforce, and then what does that mean is that we're gonna lose the record owner. We're gonna lose valuable information, which is ABCD, which are the actual record owners for those contacts in HubSpot. And since this is a bidirectional sync, what happens is that those record owners, which would be Z, would go back to HubSpot, and then we see that all these record owners are lost, both in Salesforce and HubSpot, and then everything would be changed to record owner as Z. So this is a challenge that many companies are facing when they're trying to sync their HubSpot to Salesforce, and the solution that I would like to explain here in this video is how we have overcome this problem. So here, as you can see, we have the standard property, which is the HubSpot owner in HubSpot, and this would just put a value for whomever has created the record in HubSpot. He or she would be the record owner in HubSpot, and that name would be assigned as the HubSpot owner. So what we're going to do, we are going to create a new property, which would be a text field, text type, and then we would create a workflow to update that information to HubSpot, to this new property that we have created. And then we would create another field in Salesforce, which we can call it HubSpot original owner. So let's say if we have ABC here, that information would go to the records on this field, and then that information would go to Salesforce, would be mapped with this field in Salesforce. So ABC would come here, and then here we can create a process builder or a workflow to change the record owners to change the standard field record owner ID in Salesforce. So this way we are taking the original record owners, we're pushing those to Salesforce, and then we're giving back those record owners to the standard field, and then that information would just go back to HubSpot. So this is the way that we can maintain the original record owners in between Salesforce and HubSpot and prevent losing that valuable information, because you can imagine the mess that may happen when there are a number of users using HubSpot, and then they would lose their records very easily if we cannot maintain that information. So thank you very much, and feel free to ask me or send me any questions that you may have.